That was once upon a time,
when there was a young merchant in the city of Baghdad called Zahran,
and a beautiful house.
but there was no peace in his heart. Every night he tossed and turned in his head, unsure.
An old dervish stood in front of him and said, "My son, I see the worry on your face. Yes, sir. I don't know why they always remain a singing heart."
The dervish smiled and said,
Marketers do not order abroad.
rather, it exists on the inside.
If the stillness of the Real is established, then it will be there. Where he lives, someone Jalil will tell you the secret of silence. But remember that this journey will be easy.
That night, Zahran thought for a long time. That is, he can leave his neighbor and his house,
And everything he has to go out on the journey of the unknown. But the next day, they summoned Al-Amin Ahmed from the West Bank.
He told him that they were going on a long journey.
So, I ordered something that happened in Riyadh. Ahmed asked him in amazement. Unless we go, sir. Zahran smiled and said, I am asking for patience. Drui's supplies are in a bag. His wife Fatima was very worried and said, Are you confident?
Zahran said to him.
And he began to rebuke, saying, And in this moment, he will be in a calm heart. On the morning of his departure from Khazaran, his sons. And an arrogance that we convinced with tears. What a sunrise! His heart was strong. Will he find peace on this journey? Or is all this a big mother's line? But there is no way back anymore. And his horse advances tiredly. On the horizon, black clouds are gathering.
Once, his tongue appeared on his lips. 16.
He looked at the slanted bottle or complained about it. Honestly. Oh God. 2 storms blew and toppled his turban. Then the rain poured down.
It was as if the sky had opened all its doors.
Zahran took cover and became a rock. Wet with rain. He wonders, have you made up a plan?
When the storm calmed down, he discovered that he had lost his way.
The dunes were white. It surrounds it on all sides. There are no signs indicating a direction.
His horse was injured.
Zahran sat crying and said, Oh God. He gathered all his forces and his 2 servants, calling out. The caravan leader came down. He was an old man with a white beard, reaching his chest from my camel and said, Are you traveling alone, young man? The desert has no mercy on anyone. The caravan was a trading caravan, walking towards the east on the Silk Road. The leader's name was Abdul Rahman. He is an old traveler.
She saw many countries.
Al-Zahran asked, You are asking for stillness. They liked it. Many people are after money. Among those who like you are strangers. Zahran felt at home. He said to himself, How amazing this is. I was worried about Apple Sakina in my time. The next morning, Abdul Rahman Zahran gave a map and said, This path will lead you to your goal. But be careful. This is the chosen one of thieves. They say that heaven dwells in the mountains.
Zahran felt afraid. But his resolve was strong. He bid farewell to his new friends.
Abdul Rahman put his hand up. On his shoulder he said, To remember, the biggest obstacle to stillness is. It is fear. In front of Zahran, a long mountain range. She misses her friends. They took a deep dive. He pushed his horse forward.
It was the hardest part of the trip. They are still ahead, but the wonder. His heart began to fill with pain instead of fear.
Between the high deserts, a narrow road and a lot.
His horse was advancing with difficulty.
Suddenly,
the horse steadied its hooves while it was straightening.
In front of them, 3 Trigallons brandishing swords. And they blocked the way.
The eldest of them said, threateningly,
"Give us your money, merchant." Zahran's hands trembled.
But he held himself together and said,
"I'm just a traveler in search of stillness."
The thieves looked at each other.
Then they burst out laughing. "Stillness."
The leader of the thieves said they would mock.
"I ask for stillness. We are developing Joan. For a bite of bread."
Then he approached Zahran. He looked into his eyes for a long time and said,
"But there is honesty in your eyes."
And his pussy returned to him, saying,
"I was too one day. I search for stillness. But we choose the plan way. Maybe you will succeed. Where I failed. This is Zahran." Here the thieves let him go on his way.
Before he left him, a leader said,
"The next village." Followed by 3 days. "My way is Diab, so be wise." Zahran thanked them and went ahead.
He felt a journey of stillness.
Not just external.
Rather, it is a journey in his depths as well.
And on the 3rd day, there may be heavy rain. My refuge in Kaf during the storm. Looking outside. And when the night fell,
a strange sound was heard from inside the cafe. As if we were someone breathing.
Dither.
And remember Abdul Rahman's words about scoliosis.
Be encouraged and light your fire.
A well-dressed old man who will reverence your thirst.
Say Sheikh Bado. I'm also taking shelter from the storm.
Zahran breathed a sigh of relief. The sheikh took out some herbs from his bag and said,
"Drink this. Sion reduced foolishness." Zahran thanked him and asked me, "Who are you?"
The sheikh said, smiling,
"When you reach Sheikh Abdullah.
So tell him that Nazair sent you."
Zahran thanked the man. When you turn around, just a moment.
He found it had disappeared.
Only a white feather remained on the ground.
He felt bad for himself.
We were a human being. And in the afternoon of that day, I saw a small village on the top of a mountain. The stems were useful. But in the heart, it was a glimmer of hope.
When he reached the entrance of the village, he felt a strange stillness.
Simple homes. Numb injections. And birds chirping.
A little girl approached him and said,
"You are the traveler." What our Sheikh Abdullah was waiting for. "This is Zahran," and he said, "Sheikh Abdullah, wait for me." And he doesn't know.
The crumbs spoke and said, "The sheikh knows everything.
And on the top of the hill you will be walking.
It is inhabited by Sheikh Abdullah."
Zahran knocked on the door. Suddenly it melted from inside. "Enter, Bloom." Tektoilan waited. Zahran entered, astonished.
The sheikh was looking forward to seeing him, and his eyes shine with wisdom.
"Say Sheikh, I thought it was necessary for me to test you. You have overcome your fear. And I came forward, I did well." He motioned for him to sit. "In an article. Tell me, why do you ask for silence? And you have everything in the world." Sama Tazarano Lathan. An article. Lana's heart is empty despite everything I have. Say Sheikh.
You will stay with me for 5 days.
And every day there will be teachers. Study the first. Live not abroad. But inside. Sleep tonight here. Your first test may begin. In the morning before sunrise.
That is, the sheikh decided and said.
Ali from water supply from the village well. It is considered Jeb Zahran. Is this Sarskan?
He spent his day looking for guides.
You miss this.
His back hurt from fatigue.
In the evening, the sheikh asked him. What do you know about Telium? Say Zahran, I feel tired in my body. But in a gentle heart.
The sheikh smiled and said.
How many of us do you know? On the second day.
Zahran sat with the children reading the Quran. So he remembered his childhood.
Here life was simple. And full of silence. And on the third day, and obey, no stranger. To go to the village magnifier. He recites Al-Fatiha over every grave. Zahran spent his day among the graves. Death works. In the evening he said to the sheikh, "Today I understood that the world is fleeting. And that stillness is in preparation for the afterlife. And on the fourth day, every mission is an injury. To ascend to a mountain. He brings one stone. He finds it the most beautiful. I saw hundreds of stones, but he chose stone. My father was shocked and said, 'This reminds me of my son.' The sheikh smiled and said, 'Love establishes stillness.' And on the fifth day, the sheikh ordered him to sit in a room, dark all night, without food and drink. He told him, 'Close your eyes and look inward.' When Zahran left, there were tears in his eyes. But I had a smile on my face. And on the sixth day, Sheikh and Abdullah took Zahran to the highest peak of the mountain. With sunrise, the valley was bathed in gold. Zahran coughed bitterly. 'Are you telling us that it is stillness?' The sheikh smiled for a long time and then said, 'I won't tell you, but you are the one who will tell me.' Zahran wondered. 'How is that?' The sheikh gave him a piece of paper and said, "Who? Work your whole life. And remember Asad al-Habatak. My birth was common to them." I covered Zahran in his eyes. He remembered the day of his marriage. And his children were born. And my father. Then he opened his eyes and said, "Did you understand that he is getting old? I dwell in love. And in gratitude, and in worshipping God, and in serving people." The sheikh smiled and said, "Healthy. I am not in two places. Nothing. But in the way you live." That night, the sheikh told him, "Your real test begins now. It's easy to find stillness. But the most difficult thing is to maintain it. Go back to your home. Here is your real test. In the morning, say hello to the family. The continent is like one of them." Zahran kissed the sheikh's hand and said, "I will not abandon you as I lived." The sheikh said, "Credit tonight. The way back was strangely easy. The thieves met and killed them. But they didn't get in the way. And this time, their leader said, 'We want to see you on your face.' Zahrano sat with them. And tell them you are educated. And tonight in Kazimwa he said, 'I wish I could find stillness like you.' Before arriving in Baghdad, he met Abdul Rahman again. Abdul Rahman asked him, "Did he find Texan?" They smiled, Zahrano said. "Yes. But neither in awe nor in confidence." When Al-Zahran arrived in Baghdad, knowing that you are her neighbor, you have become suspicious of him. And that his home was waiting for him with Shawak himself. But this time, he entered his house with a reassured heart. He realized that there was no stillness during long travel. Rather, it was within them from the beginning. Al-Zahrano knew that his employee, Ahmed, had made a mistake in his suspicions. So he called and he said no. To keep up with him, he does not care about Ahmed's profitability. "I forgive you. And we will start again." And when he arrived home, about his wife and children, with tears in his eyes he said, "I miss you so much." Fatima asked him, "Did you find stillness?" He carried his son in my arms. He looked at his wife and said, "Yes. I found it. And he was here in his house. In a family." Since that day, he became the target of Dawn. He comforts the poor. Sama goes to his neighborhood and does not care about making a profit. And in the evening, he returns to teach his children the Quran. Fatima waxing is done in the garden. It is a gathering of people. Ada and Zahran himself. So I love it for those affected. And he said to him, "Why do you leave a demonstration? Comfort and luxury." He smiled and said, "Stillness, and if shared, you will be shaken, and if he loves 6, he decreases. On a stormy night. Or his house is 100 people. And after the storm, he gave away a lot of money to help those affected." Jeb Ahmed counted and said, "Your Eminence, and now and your bosses." "Why?" Al-Zahran said, "SRS of stillness and introspection. The more you give, the singing in your heart increased." Then she came, the first ordeal of truth. For stillness,
His son, my son, was seriously injured.
Until I guide you.
And the inability of doctors. There is no need to trust in God.
Zahran's heart misses. That Quaybki insists. But he remembered Sheikh Abdullah's words. And remember a box.
He gave it to him and told him.
Do not open unless you feel comfortable. You are beginning to forget the path of stillness. Yaida shuddered.
He opens a box. He found an old paper.
And Osh bin Yapsin. And on the paper it is written.
A time when hopes are dashed.
Trusting in God is stillness. Zahran got to know Al-Ashb.
It is as if it is the same as what the sheikh gave him in Al-Khaf. He healed him of the fever.
Faster than his uncle Sharaban.
And he gave him a needle to drink. And tears in my eyes. But his heart is steadfast and reassured.
And with dawn, something like a summary happened. The temperature of their needles is low. He opened his eyes smiling and said, Dad.
I saw in a dream the sheikh.
He looks very similar to Sheikh Abdullah. This is Zahran.
He never spoke to his son about the details of the sheikh.
Returned to the box.
He found a small hiding place in it.
It has an old picture.
To his father with Sheikh Abdullah. His eyes widened excitedly.
Sama remembers the leader and the thieves, who you meet in the mountains.
His name was the witness.
It turned out to be the son of Sheikh Abdullah.
And all the roads were.
They meet in one circle. And that night,
Zahran saw in a dream Sheikh Abdullah. And his father, Jalsan. The sheikh said, smiling. I will be the inheritance of believing hearts,
his father said.
And it will remain in your son through them as well.
The two flowers woke up.
Everything was revealed to him.
His journey and Sheikh.
And the leader of the thieves.
And feel sorry.
They are all tense in fabric.
One of God's destiny. And on that day,
he decided to visit the mountain village.
Every year, he takes his son Abraham with him. Knowing that silence. There is no goal we can reach. Once. On the path we walk. All our lives. And so Zahran realized.
The search for stillness ends.
Because it is a lifestyle. We are based on faith and love. He thanked. And serving people. Condolences friends. From which country are you watching this video? How many times in this story? Share your opinions in the comments. And subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and see you in another story.